On the third page of your packet, you have a list, a checklist that will walk you through all the steps of what we're going to do for repousse and chasing today. The first one we should have already finished. Complete your planning sheet about your chosen Hawaiian plant, animal, or place. That's this part. So it's important to know our big piece and our 3 little pieces. Check, done that. The next part is when we're actually going to be taking our drawing and taping it to the foil. Before we do that, I want you to get an opportunity to practice using this foil. So you're going to get a little piece. You'll see these little pieces. They're over by the sink closest to the door where you come into the classroom. All the supplies we need are there. You're also going to get a piece of felt. This piece of felt, I can fold it up. It just makes a soft surface so that we can push into our metal. When we work with metal, there's 2 methods. The first one is actually the one that we'll start with, which is chasing. Chasing means we're going to push it down from the front. So if our metal is flat, we're able to push in with a tool so that the metal is going to be popping out the back. Okay, and to chase, we can use a dull pencil. So if you can't find a dull pencil in your bin at your table, there are some in the white cabinet. So I can use this to chase. So just practice. I just want you to practice at first making a shape on your metal and seeing how hard you have to push in order to chase that shape. So right now I have chased that shape. I pushed it down into the metal. Okay, I'm going to make 2 shapes so I can show you 2 things. So this is our opportunity to try this out. So I made 2 shapes. You can do whatever you want with yours. The opposite of chasing is repousse, which means to push it up from the back. So this is our flat metal. We actually have to turn our piece over so we can make the metal pop out from the back. So I'm going to try that now. I'm going to turn it over. You can still see my design on the back. And I have some of these wooden tools over there by the sink, by the door. And you can see where kids have already used them before. Okay, so those are different tools I can use to press into the metal. So I can take my finger. What works best for me is putting my finger over the top, and then I'm going to rub like this. So think of it like coloring inside the lines. I don't want to color on these lines. I want to rub the metal and push the shape down. So remember, you're not changing the metal, you're just moving it to somewhere else. So I just have to use my big muscles. I really do have to put quite a bit of pressure. My hand is kind of sore. And after I've kind of gone over that shape a couple times from the back, that's repousse, I can turn it over. Can you start to see that it's popping out? That's called relief. I've created relief. I've popped something out from the back, okay? Every time you pop something out from the back, you also need to chase it again from the front. So by chasing it, slowly going around this shape, I'm able to get the details back inside my piece. I want you to see how far you can make the metal go, okay? So that means I really want you to practice this and see how far can you stretch it before it starts to break. We definitely don't want to break our metal, but I want you to be able to hold it up at eye level. So when I hold my piece up to my eye, I should see that it's popping out from the surface. That's called relief. Okay, so I want you to be able to really clearly repousse a piece, and then every single time, guys, I repousse, I have to go back and chase, which means push down from the front so I can still get my detail. Okay, so the opposite of repousse is chasing. If I want a part of my shape to be pushed down from the front, I just do that same method. So I just stay inside the lines, rub the metal, go slowly, and what I should get is that the shape is going to start getting pushed down. You start to see that there has dipping down, and it's actually popping out the back. So chasing, repousse. So try that out on your piece first to practice. Okay, now that I've practiced, I still need my felt. I have my drawing. I have the big piece of metal that I'm going to get from Mrs. Snyder. following my list, it says number 2, tape your planned contour drawing to the foil. So remember, I have my drawing here. I included a border. It fills up the whole space. Shapes are big enough. You can just put these anywhere just to hold it down, maybe on 2 sides. That way I can kind of flip. See how I can flip the drawing up to still see how I'm doing? Okay, so I set it on top of my felt because that's what this next step says. Step 3, place a magazine or piece of felt, we have felt, under your foil so you have a soft surface to work on. Use a dull pencil and trace over the lines in your design. This should press the foil down so your design is transferred to the aluminum. Which process is that? Chasing. Once the basics have been traced, remove the drawing from the foil and use it for reference. Do not throw it away. Okay, so now I'm going to take that pencil. It's dull, and my goal now is I'm just going to push down my drawing onto the metal, chase it on there. Okay, I've removed my drawing, but I've saved it because I need it to be able to look and see what my drawing looks like. I have my design chased onto the metal. The next step says you will need to decide which shapes will be convex, that means raised, reposed, which shapes will be pressed in, chased. Working slowly, go over the areas a number of times with gentle pressure to stretch the metal without tearing it. Check your work on the reverse side often. Okay, so that's what I'm going to work on now. So now I'm just going to decide what I want to do. So I've decided that I want to push most of the parts of my bird up, except for this part of his eye. On the real Palila, this part is dark. And at the end of this process, remember, we're going to be pushing black ink into any of the chased areas. So I am going to be pushing down this part of the eye because I want that to look dark. So if most of my design is going to be reposed, I have to flip it over. So remember, I'm going to use that tool by putting my finger over the top. Now, if it's a tiny area, you might use a different tool, or you might have to turn your tool on its side in order to be able to repose it. So I can even just use this. What I want to avoid is marking the metal. So that's why using the flat part is kind of nice. So if I know I'm going to push my bird up, remember, I'm going to stay in these lines. It's like coloring. So I'm just giving myself a little bit of a border, and then moving the metal, working slowly. So I've just done part of the bird's body. I can flip it back over. Oh, look, I can start to see it popping out. Do you see it? And then as I'm working, I've reposed. I always have to go back and chase. You really want some deep grooves from the front. Otherwise, when we do the inking, you will not have these marks anymore. So I just keep working back and forth, pressing down the metal, moving it to a different place, staying within the line so I don't lose my detail. Okay, so that's how I would work repose. So I'm going to keep popping things up. I definitely should be able to see it when I turn it sideways. I really want you to be able to see that metal popping up. Be confident in doing that. I can do the same from the front. Remember, if I wanted to push something down, an entire shape, I can chase the entire shape from the front, which means I'm going to push down with my tool from the front. So maybe you want a little bit of both kinds of areas. I still have to chase around this shape so that I don't lose my details. Okay, so your goal today, once you have your design chased onto the metal, is to start deciding which parts are going to be pulled up or pushed up, which parts we're going to be pushing down from the front, and really starting to get relief, which means the metal is popping up from that flat surface. Okay, good luck.